Okay, let's start with it. I think yes, Sunidhi is yet to join, but anyways, let's start. She'll join in the middle. Right. Okay. So last day we were discussing about We were discussing about status and also about the matter and properties of the matter. So we just see some basic properties of solids, liquids, and gas, and how these properties came to that. So that is due to this discontinuous feature, and it is made up with small particles. We learned that matter made up with particles. පදාර්ථය හැදිලා තියෙන්නේ අංශු වලින්, කුඩා කොටස් වලින්. So it's made up with particles. So how these particles are arranged? If particles are orderly arranged and strongly bound, so that is solid. That is why the shape is not changing in solid. Particles are strongly bound and also it's orderly arranged. So that is one of the main reason. That is why it's not like change in the shape, and it is difficult to compress due to these features. And liquid, in the other hand, in the liquid, so it's loosely bound. It's not that much of strong, not strong as solid, but so it is like binding sources are not strong as solid, but still there are bonds. And particles are not orderly arranged. Those are not orderly arranged. They can change the position places. So they can move within the liquid. So that is why the liquid take the shape or the filled area shape of the container, right? And gas is, so you can see binding forces are very, very weak. Therefore, it can move. These particles can move here and there, and it can take the entire space of the storage container. It can take the entire space of the storage container due to this loose bonds or very weak bonds, and also it's not orderly arranged. We learn about these three properties of solid, liquid, and gas, right? So then we learn about the compressibility, shape, and volume. Shape is definite in solid, but it's taking the occupied area or take the shape of the occupied area of the container. But gas, it has no shape. It's occupying the entire container, or it takes the entire container's shape. And volume, this has a fixed volume. This also has a fixed volume. That means it's not spreading, and it's not spreading to entire thing. But so then gas, right? When we talk about gas, it has no fixed volume. Okay, compressibility, since the bonds are very weak, air or gas can be compressed, but the solid and liquid cannot be compressed easily. It can be very light compressed, but it is not possible to, it is like very difficult to compress liquid and solid. Unlike gas can be compressed, easily can compress, because the bonds are very, very weak. And density is like maybe like density is a property taken by considering the mass as well as the volume, right? So then, given volume, what is the mass of given volume? So that is something to deal with the mass and volume, that is density. So solid has high density, and then liquid also has some high density, but not much as solid. So the lowest density is with gas. Okay, then, so after learning this today, we have to move to the next, that is utilizing these physical properties of matter. How we can utilize these physical properties of matter. That is today's focus, right? Let's learn about this. So, okay, consider the, like here you can see small example is given. Consider a cylinder containing nitrogen gas. and cylinder containing like ordinary air, normal air that we can feel and see, and a cylinder with nitrogen gas. So basically, the nitrogen gas cylinder, it's having only one component, that is nitrogen. But in normal air that we can feel in our environment, so there are carbon dioxide, nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, argon, different type of or several gases are there in that environment. So, right, so we can say, okay, so let's take normal water that we drink, right? Water that we drink, and it has like different salts and also gases, right? Dissolved in that. So that is mixed with or dissolved in. So, but pure water or distilled water, if you take, so that has water only. So these things, right? Some components are made up with, right? Some components, some substances are made up with a single component, but some substances are made up with multiple components. So here you have to fill this table. Let's fill this now. Contain one component only or contain more than one component. So can you quickly fill this? Right? Can you quickly fill this? So just you can use a pencil and your textbook. You can just don't use pen and the textbooks, because that can so you have to do this in your school as well. Oh, let's discuss this together. Okay, air. Normally air has different gases. No, it is contains more than one component, right? It is contain more than one component. Pure water, it has only water. Drinking water, it is mixed. Mixed means it has various gases and various salt dissolved in drinking water. Therefore, you can say it is contained more than one component. What about sugar? Is it single components or more components? Sugar? Yes. Sugar is only sugar. It's one component. Salt solution.
Contains
Yeah,
more
it
than
contains
one component.
more than salt and water basically. But if you take salt only, then you can say sodium chloride, salt. But salt solution is basically salt and water together. Piece of copper,
Contain one component only.
T,
T contains more than one component.
then one. Aluminium,
Con-
one. Iron,
Contains one component
one
only.
component. Silver,
Contains one component only.
contains one component. So this is easy, right? So you have to identify some substances, right? Some substances that we see and feel may contain more than one component, but some are containing only one component. So based on that, we can divide these into two categories. These substances having only one component, we call them pure substances. So substances only having one component, we call them pure substances. But the substances having more than one component, we call them non-pure substances. Pure substances are substances contain only one component. Example, you can say iron, copper, aluminium, pure water, silver, sugar, salt. These are substances, pure substances. But salt solution, then tea, coffee, maybe air, right? These things are non-pure substances, right? Yes, sugar, copper, pure water, aluminium, silver, iron. So these are pure substances we learn because it has only one component. But if there are more than one component, we call them non-pure substances. And another thing is here, these pure substances that you see can be made up with single element. single element, or it can be made up with multiple elements, right? So here, pure substances with definite properties which cannot be further divided to physical or chemical methods into substances are known as elements. It has only one element. So these elements are basically, you can't divide that further. Aluminium, it's aluminium, right? If you divide it, still it is aluminium. Iron, if you divide it, still aluminium. Sorry, iron. Copper, it is copper. Silver, it is silver, right? So what about water? If you divide, is it water or is there more elements? Water, pure water. Let's take pure water. Is it element or, yes, is it element or having more than one element? Pure water. Yes. Pure water වල element එකයිද තියෙන්නේ නැත්නම් ගොඩක් තියෙනවද? pure water වල පුතේ element ගොඩක් තියෙනවා. element මම මේ කතා කරන්නේ මේ pure non pure නෙවෙයි. pure water කොහොමද pure component එකක් නේ. pure water is a pure substance. Right, for sure pure water is a pure substance නේ. අපි ඉගෙන ගත්තනේ here. Pure water coming under pure substance, right? Pure substance උනාට ඒක element එකක් නෙවෙයි. Why it's not an element? Because water has hydrogen and oxygen, two things. You can further divide. So when you divide, you can get hydrogen and oxygen. But think about sulfur. After dividing, still sulfur, right? Chlorine, if you divide, still chlorine. Iron is still iron. Copper is still copper, carbon is still carbon, mercury, aluminium, zinc. These are elements. How many elements are there in the world? Roughly how many elements? How many discovered elements? There can be many elements. How many discovered elements in the world? Normally, just give me rough value. Roughly how many elements? These elements are there in the periodic table. And you know this? Periodic table.
Yes.
Let's show. Yeah, P table.
So I know.
Sorry, Pute?
I know the periodic.
You?
I know the periodic.
Are you know period? Okay. So then how many elements are there? Yes, how many elements? Right? In periodic table, you can see elements. So they are closer to like 100 plus elements, closer to 200 elements. So currently, I think up to 200 elements there are discovered 200 elements. Sorry, Pute?
103.
Yeah, here you can see in the periodic table 118, but there are some other discovered things like so with that, they think closer to 200 elements. Right, closer to 200 elements, but some are like you can see main things in this. Just give me 1 minute. I have to change the connection.